I was working late when I made a terrifying discovery. My boss was shot dead by the most handsome man in the company. I froze in fear, hiding in the corner, praying he wouldn't see me. Luckily, he didn't notice and went straight to deal with the boss. I let out a sigh of relief. If he had spotted me, I would already be dead. I rushed to the restroom to hide, but when I opened the door, I bumped into the guard, lying motionless. I checked his injuries, but my hand pressed the toilet flush. By accident, the loud sound would surely alert the killer. I quickly shut the door, but in such a small space, where could I hide? The only choice I had was to stand on top of the guard. My body trembled with fear, waiting to be found, but to my surprise, the killer didn't even see me. He only came in to wash his clothes. I almost collapsed with relief. Just when I thought I was safe, I heard a voice outside. "How are you doing in there, Barney? Toss me your keys." My eyes fell on the keys beside the guard. I instantly knew what the killer wanted. I jumped down quietly, using my small build to move fast. As the man pushed the door open, I had already switched positions. He reached for the keys, but the flush behind me suddenly sounded. My heart stopped. Luckily, he also triggered the flush himself, and I escaped death again. When he finally left, I slipped out and hurried through the passage. I reached a room and was about to call the police, but then ran into a colleague working late. I told him something terrible was happening. Meanwhile, the killer destroyed the fire valve and headed to the archive room with company secrets, planning to burn all the files with alcohol from his suitcase. I tried to escape with my colleague, but the elevator was broken, so we went to the emergency exit. It was locked. We had no choice but to stay quiet and discuss. We decided to split up. He would try to call for help while I searched for another phone. As I turned a corner, I saw a shadow through the glass. I ran back and warned my colleague to stay silent, but the killer soon pushed the door open and noticed the computer still running. I hid under the desk, shaking, watching his shoes approach. He reached down, unplugged the power, and walked out. We breathed again and decided to take a longer route. On the way, I learned the boss was still inside. I told my colleague to keep calling for help while I went to rescue her, but as soon as he dialed, I sensed danger. I turned through the window and saw the killer behind him. My colleague tried to talk his way out, but he was strangled with a rope. I forced myself into the office later, but he wasn't there. I grabbed the phone, but it flashed a low battery warning. Desperate, I plugged in the charger. That's when I saw my colleague's lifeless body. Before I could move, the killer returned. My heart almost stopped. I crawled behind a desk, shaking. As he dragged the body, I slipped into a small door. To my horror, this was his base for covering up evidence. His footsteps grew closer. I felt the end was near, and there was nowhere left to hide.
Stay tuned for next part.